Alright folks, it's World Cup Today's Tom Bennett here, and I'm once again joined by the absolute hero that is Marcus Foley of Eurosport fame.
First up, it's the shambles that was Germany. Tom, what did you make of it?
It was almost like watching England. That's what I felt watching Germany there. They were all over the place. Their defence was a mess. Their midfield, with the exception of Toni Kroos, was a mess. They had very little up front. If South Korea had been looking to defend, they would have been almost impotent. It was a tired World Cup in general for them. Presumably everyone now knows that they're not in the World Cup watching this. If you don't, Germany have been knocked out. But I think their problems really started with before the tournament. So they didn't pick Leroy Sané, which everyone knew about. There was a bit of controversy when they didn't pick him in the first place. It's like, you've got this exciting young talent, why are you taking him? They were saying, well, we've got Brandt there, he does the similar sort of job, we don't need him. Which, looking at Brandt's performances, I think that you can kind of see why they thought that, but it's symbolic of a tired team. So the manager's been there for far too long, most of the players are too old, the systems are breaking down. They had this new wave of talent. They won last summer, didn't they, when the Confederations Cup, was it? With the new young team, the B team. They're not using these young players, they let all the old players stay, and it just looked like a tired team that needed freshening up to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably say the best thing about Germany at this year's World Cup was their kit.
That's a glorious kit.
Yeah.
And a glorious jumper.
Well, you know, homage to the kit, because there's nothing else to pay homage to. They were absolutely terrible. They're out. Very un-German-like. Even when they've had poor teams like 2002, they've kind of got their way through the tournament. So yeah, a shambles.
So there were a lot of big questions from Germany's defeat, tactical ones, whether they should have freshened things up, whether the coaching needs changes. But the thing that I'm most interested by is how on earth does Toni Kroos keep his side parting so neat throughout an entire game of football? We were into the 80th minute, close up on him, and it was impeccable. Everything's in place, not a single hair, not a single strand of hair out of place. How do you do that?
It's the big question, as you say. I think I might have the answer though, Tom.
Okay.
It's a combination of two things. One, there's a little line, you know, shaved
in the parting.
Shaved in the parting. Two, the most integral of all is the product, which, to my eye, may be Dax.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Dax?
I have heard of Dax. I've heard mixed reviews of Dax.
Yeah, it divides opinion.
What are the pros and cons?
The pros are, is it super glue?
Okay.
The con being, then it's difficult to get super glue out of your hair.
Right.
So, fair play to Tony. Top hair, top commitment to his hair, but questionable product.
Probably the best thing to come out of the World Cup for Germany, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Not for Dax though. If Germany have been relatively un-German, Brazil are sort of un-Brazilian in terms of they're quite a cohesive team with one flair player in the shape of Neymar. What did you make of their performance today, Tom?
It's been a bit similar all the way through so far for them. They look probably one of the better teams in the tournament, maybe the best team in the tournament, the way they're shaping up. But Neymar concerns me a little bit. I think he's obviously capable of these magical moments, but he's indulged so much by his teammates, by his manager, by everybody in his life, by the looks of things. It's coming. Something's going to happen with him. I think that's what it feels like, anyway.
Yeah. He seems. It's almost like he's that kid at five-a-side who's clearly better than everyone else, but ends up on a losing team.
Maybe it's a bit strong to say they'd be better off without him. I don't think they would be better off without him, but I think that he slows their pace down. They're a very good counter-attacking team. If he just was slightly less selfish, I think they'd be a lot better off. Maybe what he was a few years ago at Barcelona before it all went to his head a little bit.
Absolutely.
What a ridiculous World Cup it's been. Day after day after day. There's been drama, scenes all over the place. But the big thing is that the top teams aren't really performing as you'd expect. Obviously, Germany are out. Argentina look a bit of a mess. France look drab as anything. Spain are vulnerable. It's a bit of a meme now, the coming home thing, but are England actually in with a chance here?
Yeah, England look alright. And at the moment it looks like alright might be enough to get very far in the tournament, to be fair. You know, I'd say the teams that have looked best have played with pace, and England play with pace. They know the system that they want to play, and as shown in the Tunisia game, they stick to it. So they stuck to it until the dying minutes of the game, and they were rewarded for that fact. So, you know, they've got as good a chance as anyone.
I suppose at the time of recording they haven't actually played anyone good yet. So the Belgium match on Thursday will be quite an interesting test for how they're actually going to play against good teams, because we've seen them against Tunisia grinding a win out. Panama basically weren't really suitable for World Cup opposition, so we can kind of discount that. How are they going to perform against high calibre teams? It looks like the team's set up to do quite well on the counter-attack against better sides, but we'll only know when we see it in action.
Yeah. I mean, it's that classic. They can only beat what's been put in front of them. They've done it, and they've done it well. The Belgian game could be a big one psychologically. They put in a good performance. Then you add to that belief that's already there within the team, and then go from there. One game at a time, all that nonsense.
If you were Gareth Southgate, would you make changes for the Belgium game, or would you sit there in your unbelievable suit and say, we'll stick with what we've got?
Yeah, if I was Gareth Southgate, I'd probably make one or two changes. Might make sense to potentially bring in another more defensively minded midfielder for the test against the bigger games, because basically they've had the run of the midfield in their opening two games against Belgium and other sides of that calibre. You might not be afforded that luxury, so that makes sense to have maybe an Eric Dyer in alongside Jordan Henderson.
I think so, yeah. And there is the argument, of course, that depending on group possible second round opposition, would it be better to lose a game, finish second in the group? I'm not in the camp. I think England we're not a good enough team to pick and choose when we're going to perform. I think we need to get on a roll of momentum, keep the team as full strength as we can. Maybe rest Carl Walker because he'll be suspended. That'd be pretty bad if Carl Walker was suspended. But take the necessary changes. As you said, maybe bring Eric Dyer in, sort midfield out a little bit. Henderson's been good, but defensively I'm a bit wary about that. But I don't know if you were in agreement. Would you keep things going as they are?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think England's biggest weakness is mental fragility. Obviously, there's been moves in the right direction under Southgate, but you know, they lose to Belgium, take a heavy beating on the back of a lot of changes, and it ruins the momentum that they have.
It's such a rare feeling for England to be in a tournament feeling like this. Everyone seems to be behind certainly most of people seem to be behind the team. The squad seem united. There's a friendly atmosphere, fun atmosphere. Let's just try and keep it going.
Absolutely.